Thank you. Dear guests, fellow Armenians, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to meet all of you here and discuss issues of mutual interest. This forum and this venue presents an opportunity for us to ask questions, identify problems, and come up with solutions that would enable better economic relations between Armenia and Switzerland. The first question we should answer is as follows. Where are we? Before we go into our vision of the future, we first need to take a step back, look at the path that our country has followed, and ask ourselves whether we want to keep walking down this road. Now Armenia stands at crossroads between economic prosperity and stagnation. Historic transformations have recently happened in Armenia. Non-violent Velvet People's Revolution held last spring led to the victory of democracy in our country. The snap parliamentarian elections held last December further strengthened democratic achievements. These fundamental changes are irreversible. They are based on the will of our people and the overwhelming consensus in our society. Today, our government has an unprecedented high level of legitimacy and public support. Based on this high-level public confidence, Armenian government adopted an ambitious reform agenda. As a result, the situation in Armenia already fundamentally differs from the one that we had before the revolution. In particular, the level of corruption has been drastically reduced. We have almost eradicated monopolies. Very serious measures have been taken to strengthen independent judiciary system and establish rule of law and a level playing field for all economic and political actors. Despite significant progress made in some crucial areas, such as ensuring market contestability and eliminating corruption in the public sector, there is still a vast amount of work to be done. Today, we have to complete another revolution, the economic revolution, in order to justify the trust and expectation of our people. GDP growth over the past year has been promising, with 7.5% registered in 2017 and persisted during 2018, with estimates exceeding 5%. The foreign exchange rate of the Armenian currency and the inflation have remained stable, thus showing the resilience of our economy to both external and internal shocks. The export to GDP relation had topped 37% in 2017 and has continued with record-breaking numbers in 2018. Those promising trends, however, cannot be enough if we want to ensure Armenia's rightful place in the global economy. Assumedly, the second question is, where do we want to be? The cornerstone of our future growth will be an investment policy framework that drives productive job creation and export competitiveness. The government and the people are united in this vision. Indeed, recent surveys have shown that the two things that Armenian people want and expect the most are more jobs and less corruption. The results can be interpreted as follows. Armenian citizens do not want more redistribution of income. They have seen enough of that. What we as Armenians want is the ability and opportunity to earn and contribute to economic growth and prosperity of our homeland and eradication of poverty. And here comes the role you are playing. since the ability of individuals to be productively employed depends on you. To facilitate this process, on its part, the Armenian government has adopted following policy. Point A, open doors policy towards foreign investors. Our policy motto is to get rich and enrich. Point B, a growth-friendly tax code based on investors' wills and needs. Point C, export and industrial modernization support mechanisms such as tax and customs incentives. Point D, a policy principle ensuring an unbiased and much less restrictive regulatory environment for doing business. Point E, we have ensured that the economic agents operating in our country have access to market around the world. You know that Armenia is a member of Eurasian Economic Union and benefits from GSP with a number of countries, including Switzerland, and GSP Plus with the European Union. And point F, of course, we guarantee free movement of capital and protection of property rights, including intellectual property. Thus, the next question to be asked is, what can the Armenian people offer to reach the place it wants to be? It has been said on many occasions, and we continue to believe, that Armenia has a small internal market with a lot of value creation potential. And there are both a market to monetize this potential and the demand for Armenian products and culture. We must satisfy this demand and present value to the world. This means higher export of goods, services, and last but not the least, culture. The cornerstone of Armenian economy is the creativity and ingenuity of the people. This translates into our increased competitiveness in niche, high-value added products and services. Armenians are responsible for a number of innovations, such as the MRI machine, the oxygen mask, the automatic gearbox, to name a few. To put it concise, if Germans are engineers and Italians are designers, Armenians are creators. Considering all the above mentioned, we have developed the priorities for our government. Priority number 1, industrial, biotech, and pharmaceuticals. Armenian government is committed to increasing competitiveness in the manufacturing sector. We will engage in constructive dialogue with businessmen across the sectors to identify the bottlenecks to competitiveness, where coordinated effort of the public and the private are needed. In order to be competitive, we must integrate innovative technologies into the industrial processes. High-tech will serve as the pillar of industrial development and inclusive growth. The industry is quite diverse, with competitive sectors ranging from textile and shoemaking to pharmacy, from biotech to finely crafted jewelry and watch cases. There are many great examples of successful investment leveraging the competitive advantages of Armenia. A number of those companies have grown from manufacturing to include R&D centers, with some exciting innovation in the pipeline. To ensure this, we are A, developing an industrial modernization toolkit. This may include creation of free economic zones to facilitate investment in pharmacy as well as high and biotech. B, establishing venues of dialogue between the government and the business community. C, supporting skill development and creation. The first targeted subsectors could be jewelry, diamond cutting, and watchmaking. D, ensuring business-friendly tax and regulatory environment. Supporting exporters through improved representation in external markets and removal of logistic bottlenecks. Armenia has great potential in high-tech and engineering fields. The government is committed to enhancing this potential through high-law doctrine. That is, enhancing the STEM subjects in schools and higher education institutions, as well as supporting creation and operation of centers and cultures of excellence such as TUMO. I am proud to announce that in 2018, TUMO has established a branch in Stepanakert and in Paris. Branches in Germany and Russia are on their way. With regard to the measures to develop IT sectors in Armenia, I would also like to mention that in October 2019, Armenia will host the 23rd World Congress of Information Technologies. Priority number 2, agriculture, processed food, and beverages. With around 15% of Armenia's economy being agriculture, we must pay special attention to this sector. The agro sector's future will rely on a mix of strong tradition and innovation. Integrating cutting-edge technologies into Armenia's agro sector will be a priority for our government. The organics and widespread use of intensive farming methods, such as drip irrigation, will spearhead the development of this sector. The tradition of winemaking plays a special role in our country. Armenia has over 6,000 years of winemaking experience, and the trends are continuing until today, with the winemaking sector growing at astonishing rate of almost 80% in 2017. Priority number 3, as already mentioned, Armenia has a lot to offer to the world. One of the crucial aspects is in the culture itself. And I think we all agree that the best way to learn about the culture is to dive into it headfirst. That's why Armenian tourist sector has been booming and still has tremendous potential for growth. Furthermore, growing tourism sector has the highest potential for improving economic situation in the regions, considering that there are lots of unique experiences situated outside of large cities. To this end, we are: point A, raising awareness about noteworthy touristic attraction as well as small-scale hotels in the regions. Point B, developing of the niche fields such as eco and gastro-tourism. Point C, development of transport and relevant supporting infrastructure to enable access to the far-situated high-interest locations. Point D, decreasing the financial and time cost of travel to, from, and within Armenia. Priority number 4, infrastructure and renewables. To ensure free movement of people, skills, and knowledge across and within our borders, the government is going to embark on a long-term program to improve transport and quality infrastructure. The importance of diversification of electric power generation is an issue of extended attention in the international community. For Armenia, it is not only a question of economic need, but also strategic necessity. We see this as a question that can be resolved in the observable future, as Armenia has tremendous potential for renewable energy generation. In recent years, the field of solar power has seen rapid development, and Armenia is on the way to leverage its natural endowment to increase the share of solar power generation in electricity consumption. We know that we cannot address our infrastructure needs alone. We need the know-how and the resources of the private sector. Thus, the government is rolling out PPP legislation and procedures to enable effective cooperation between the private and public sectors. Dear friends, we could go on and on about the vision, strategic objectives, priorities, and concentrate attention of the government to be undertaken and addressed in the upcoming 5 years. However, those objectives can only be achieved through coordinated efforts on the government and our private and public partners, both within and outside of Armenia. The only fact which is not contestable is that Armenia will continue the upward trajectory of its development. We have the potential, we have opportunities, and we have the political will to become a regional economic player. The question is whether you are ready to join us and befriend us on this interesting and not an easy path. If you are ready to make your move, come to Armenia, get rich and enrich. Thank you very much.